In today's video, we're going to be diving into that upcoming nor'easter, or should I say ongoing, because as we're taking a look at the radar here, we can see that there is already some storms, some very strong winds, and some flooding concerns already occurring here in the state of Florida, and now even trickling into states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Now, we're looking at a very long loop. This was as of this morning, all the way through about 5:24 p.m., which is what it is right now, Eastern time. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. I just want to break down a couple things. This is our nor'easter here, this blob you see impacting Florida, and we will zoom in a second. But also take notice that there is a cold front as well, and we see that set up right here, and that is pushing eastward simultaneously, as we also have this nor'easter that is going to move up the coast. So these two are going to be interacting and bringing all sorts of different impacts, including thunderstorm activity as far northward as Virginia into even Maryland and DC area. So we're going to be seeing a lot of interesting effects due to this storm. Most of those thunderstorm impacts are going to be from this cold front swinging in behind, and then most of your flooding and wind concerns are going to come from this nor'easter. Let's go ahead and zoom in here, and we can see that this is a really impactful system already for Florida. As we take a look at the southern portion of the state, we can see heavier banding happening here for a lot of the keys into the Miami area and even the Everglades if you happen to be there, which of course all 5 of you are probably not watching this video. Jokes aside, obviously there is quite a few people that do live in there. So definitely some impacts for those areas, a little bit more scarce populations, but still I'm sure there is some towns in there and some people that do live there. We can see some of these heavier showers over the hours, not intending to rhyme there, but it does, are spreading northward into kind of some of these areas in the eastern beaches of Florida. So areas in here now experiencing some stronger showers and activity. Kissimmee and Orlando area here seeing some heavier activity, as well as now the Tampa Bay area here. Even as we spread northward here into Gainesville, Daytona, Jacksonville, Lake City, even Tallahassee, we're seeing some activity in forms of heavier rainfall creeping their way up slowly but surely through the afternoon and evening. We even saw this heavier band in here, which certainly brought some flooding, and you can see it even kind of trained and happened over and over and over again for Gainesville and some of those townships to the west of there. Certainly saw some very heavy activity. Now let's go ahead and focus in on this cold front for just a moment. We can see Baton Rouge, Jackson, Mississippi there, areas in there like New Orleans as well. Lafayette and there in Louisiana also saw some impacts along this cold front through the afternoon and into the evening, both in the forms of heavier showers and even some thunderstorms in there as well. Let's go ahead and dive into the model guidance though. Now, as we dive in and take a look at this modeled guidance, I'm going to get it up to date, and you can see that this low is nearby the west coast of Florida by this point. We're seeing some heavier impacts in here. Again, we have a weaker kind of frontal boundary in here. This low is going to move up the coast, and they're going to kind of just really mix up, create a lot of interesting impacts as they combine and as they really just merge to create a lot of interesting impacts along the eastern seaboard. I want to take us towards tomorrow afternoon time frame, and this will be when this low has moved over Florida and offshore of the east coast here now over the southeast coast, and this will be bringing the heaviest impacts by the early afternoon to states like Georgia, South Carolina, and very far southern North Carolina. After this, we're going to watch it continue its way up the coast and continue to bring major impacts here. As we're taking a look here at Monday morning time frame, this will be about perhaps 8 or 9 a.m. here on Monday, December 18th, and we see it is now down to a 981 millibar low pressure center. A couple of interesting things to note. We see this pretty severe trough happening across the central United States. Also, really just to go to the beginning of everything, we see this positive PNA pattern that stands for Pacific North American Oscillation. All it means is in a positive phase is we see warm temperatures along the western seaboard, and in a negative phase, we don't have, it would be colder temperatures along the west. What this does is it surges that warm air up the west and causes all of this cold air that would be over the west to pour into this trough like we see here in the east. And then meanwhile, we just so happen to have a coastal storm moving in at the same exact time. I can't stress this enough, but this is so close to being a perfect winter storm setup. If there was just a little bit more cold and we saw the cold end move a little bit quicker, this would be a historic East Coast snowstorm. We were that close to seeing this happen. But again, just slightly too warm to see that occur. And we end up getting a heavy rain event all the way up into New England and even far up into Canada here. I'm going to take us towards the afternoon hour, and it's going to really start to move quickly. That's another part of the problem that created this storm to not be too wintry. It's going to be a 977 all the way up in New York. So in under, or maybe perhaps 6 hours, I would say it had moved from offshore of North Carolina all the way into upstate New York. So this storm is racing northward by this point and will be bringing extremely heavy rainfall here to New England by Monday afternoon. By the time we're reaching the evening hour, what we're going to see is this lowers down to a 976 over Canada, and we begin to get a secondary low down here offshore of North Carolina. This secondary low is pretty interesting. Let's watch it develop because we see the cold air really moving in. I'm going to give you an update on the jet stream here. We're seeing something like this at this point, and this low is developing right as this cold air is moving towards the mid-Atlantic. We do see precipitation begin to develop here in the east, and it looks like this should be snowfall over the very far southern mid-Atlantic, but it's not quite cold enough. This is about 5 a.m., so it should be the very lowest temperatures of the night. But I took a look at your actual temperatures that you're experiencing in there near coastal areas of North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, and they're going to be kind of in the lower 40s, upper 30s. So very close, about 5 degrees off, maybe about 7 degrees off from seeing snowfall. Which would be interesting, and that's not something that we could have said for the rest of the winter. So far, this has been a very interesting winter. We've seen this warm pattern set up right as winter began, and this would have been cool to see flakes for those areas, but certainly that is not the case. It's just not going to get low enough temperatures at all that night. Now, by the time we're reaching about 12 p.m. on Tuesday the 19th, we see this secondary low set up off New England, but it's still not cold enough for those areas, and the low is just too weak to bring a very large precipitation field at all. We end up seeing everything move offshore innocently. Now, just to walk you through the upcoming pattern, we don't get too much in the way of storms. We get this pretty interesting, very weak storm that moves through the Ohio Valley, the plains, and eventually wants to move eastward, but nothing in the way of snowfall. And then we get into a negative PNA pattern. And when we track the jet stream, we get something like this. It's ascending through the east, so we get these warmer temperatures surging eastward. This actually happens to be Christmas morning. So sorry to let those people down that want a white Christmas, but this is the Christmas pattern as of now. We do get snowfall across a lot of the Rockies and northern plains, though, so if you happen to be in there, there is a chance at seeing a white Christmas. But for other areas, not looking so good. Let's take a look at the total precipitation. Definitely throughout the southwest and up the west coast, we see above average precipitation. Same story where this nor'easter tracks, we see above average precipitation. Your reds being about 2 to 6 inches, and even some of those browns for South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and into North Carolina, seeing about 5 inches plus. So certainly a big rainmaker, definitely going to bring some flooding concerns to those red and brown areas. Now, the total snowfall for the entirety of the next 10 days, not looking too promising in the east. We do get a couple of areas experiencing maybe a few inches. The mountainous regions of West Virginia seeing maybe 6 to 10, and then areas near the Great Lakes in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York seeing perhaps 6 to 10 as well. Out west, though, we do start to see that activity return for your Rocky Mountains, your Cascade Mountains, and your Sierra Nevadas. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I did miss the video yesterday, and I do apologize. This is the only thing to discuss is this storm, and I really don't want to be overdoing it with the uploading about a single topic. So I decided that it'd be a good day to take a day off. I'd update you guys as this storm is beginning, and we have the most up-to-date information. So here it is, guys. We do upload every single day, except for yesterday, like I just mentioned. I guess it's kind of contradicting myself there, but for the most part, we upload every single day. So be sure to subscribe for more weather-related videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.